Hey, what's up everybody? TechChucker here, and today we're going to do a diorama tutorial on cracks. Yeah, that's right. We are going to add some cracks to one of our brick walls here, and I'm going to show you how I do it. It's really easy. Pretty much the only tools that you actually need are going to be an X-Acto knife and a really sharp pencil. Some people I know use like skewer sticks, probably because they don't want to actually get the markings on their projects, but I don't really care because I'm going to be putting black wash on it anyway. So that's what we're going to do. It's it's about 9 o'clock on a Friday night. You're not going to be seeing it 9 o'clock Friday night though, right? You're out doing something cool. But I'll probably get this posted in the morning. All right, let's set the camera up and get started. Alrighty, so first things first, we wanna try and figure out where we're gonna put those cracks, and I try to think about where would there actually be cracks on a real wall, and it's usually going to be some of those stress points within the wall, and a lot of the times it's at the corner of windows, and so that's kind of where I'm going to put my cracks. I've got some areas here where there's going to be beams coming out, and so you can kind of figure there's going to be a lot of pressure around in these areas, so it might make sense that there would be cracks. The other thing is we don't want to have you don't want to always have your cracks going in all the exact same direction. You don't want to have the exact same pattern for your cracks, otherwise it's just going to look too staged. All right, so let's just go ahead and zoom this in, and we will take a closer look and actually cut a couple of these cracks. All right, so we're going to do our best to show you exactly what it is that I'm going to do here, but I'm going to basically start a crack right in here at just about the corner. Basically, I just take the tip of my X-Acto, if I can get this to actually focus, just the tip, and I just barely drag it along the foam to just score it a little bit, and I do that in a little bit of jagged kind of, I turn it just a little bit as I go so that I'm kind of making a jagged path, because as we all know, when you look at cracks, they're not always, they're not always uniform, and they're not straight, that's for sure. And I like to kind of go at an angle. Now this one I kind of went really long with. So then I'm going to go ahead and take and make a few passes. Now let's see if you can actually see that. You probably, there we go. So you can see it's pretty minimal there. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and add another crack, and I'm gonna kind of take that off of the main one, just like a river would. You're gonna add like these little tributaries off of the main crack. And you can do that in lots of different areas. Typically, you're going to add smaller, shorter cracks off of the main crack, because that's typically going to be your biggest crack. Let's see if I can zoom out so you can maybe see that. It's kind of tough to see with my lighting. And then I'm going to go ahead over to this corner. Maybe this lighting will be a little better. And I'm going to do roughly the same thing, except this time I'm going to bring it a little further off to the side, but it's not going to go nearly as far. And I'm going to spider that off. And I'm barely going any depth into my foam. So if you look, you can barely see that I've cut anything in there. And that's so that way then I can decide just how deep I want this to be with my pencil. So I'm gonna go ahead and, if I can get the light to work, just barely going to lightly allow that pencil to fill into that groove that I just made. Let's see if I can actually follow. I'm just following along that path. Now, I'm not a big fan of what that crack looks like, but that's okay, because you can pretty much make these cracks look exactly how you want them to, or you can fix them, I should say. If you get one that you don't really care for the look, just add to it, and it might actually start looking a little more natural. So I'm just going to add another one right at the bottom here, and that's going to go all the way through. And just remember also, so some of these cracks you're going to want to widen more than others, because as we all, you know, when you've seen real cracks, they're not always the same width. And then what I like to do is sometimes at these joining parts, or where they kind of break off into their own, is I take my pencil tip and I kind of dig in, because a lot of the times over time that little area will actually crumble away and you'll lose a little bit, just a little bit of that brick. You can certainly pull more out. I was noticing that these two were looking a little too uniform, so I went ahead and pulled that out. And I'm going to go ahead and add with my pencil just a little spider right off of that. There. Now I'm going to come back to this one. And this one, over here, I want to go just a little bit deeper. But I'm going to start with just real light crack, following along that line, just to get the basic path first. There's that. And then I can go ahead and go along that and add to it. Now I kind of have some interesting looking little spots right in here, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that that turned out. So I'm just going to punch that in just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more of a damaged look, because we don't want all of our cracks to look exactly the same. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same to this crack. Oops. I'm going to set this down so I have a little bit better working space. Biggest thing is don't do things too uniform, meaning don't make all your cracks the exact same length. Don't make them all the exact same width. Don't make them the exact same pattern. And beyond that, whatever you think you like, go ahead and do. And just also, I will say, try not to put too many cracks, because if you fill it up too full, it's just going to take away from, you know, the aesthetics of your project. So the basic idea is just go ahead and lightly score it with your X-Acto knife, making sure that you do little small zigzags, and then come back with your pencil and make it a little bit deeper. Now you could certainly leave or not do the pencil on a couple of these, because there's always going to be some hairline cracks, which you're just barely going to see. But when you do a black wash on there and then you put the paint over the top, it'll still be visible. You're still going to be able to see that crack, which is going to give it a little bit more of a realistic look. All right, so I'm going to finish up the cracks, and then I am going to and then we'll take a look at it. Alrighty, so my lighting's not super great, but I think I've completed this enough to say that I am satisfied with the cracks that I decided to throw in here. So hopefully this has been helpful. You can take a look at some of these a little bit closer, and you can see that there's really not that much to it, and yet it adds quite a bit to the overall look of your diorama. Alrighty folks, so I hope this has been helpful. Make sure you hit subscribe, stay tuned for more, like me on Facebook, and I will see you later.
TechChucker's Brain Blast.